ended up winning our final standard tournament last weekend excuse me, 2 weekends ago in Dallas when I was doing coverage with OSIP. Not humans deck, all humans all the time here with Avacyn's Pilgrim, Champion of the Parish, Mayor Averbrook, Silverblade Paladin, Thalia Guardian of Thraben, Borderland Ranger, Huntmaster of the Fells, 2 Zealous Conscripts, 1 Frontline Medic, and the only spells you're going to find here are 3 Garruk Relentless, 3 Celestia Charms, and the only non-human card, of course, how could you not play it, Restoration Angel.
On the left we have Chi-Hoi Yim, who's playing Blue-White-Red Geist. We've seen this deck a couple times on camera, and it looks like consensus appears to be among these players incorporating a couple of copies of Aurelia's Fury and 4 copies of Boros Charm. His deck's pretty well set up for this matchup with 2 copies of main deck of Mizium Mortars to complement Pillar of Flame and Searing Spear. And Aurelia's Fury also is probably going to be better here than in a lot of matchups because the non-human deck presents a lot of 1 and 2 toughness creatures, so not hard to, even a mid-size Aurelia's Fury could pick apart a lot of Ashford's board.
And what you're going to find here for Ashford's deck, as far as, kind of cool lands that he has in his deck, he has 3 copies of Gabney Township, actually. Not going to find any copies of Kessig Wolf Run or Slayer Stronghold, but again, 3 copies of the Gabney Township. He also has 4 Counter Souls. Make the mana work. Mana should work pretty well here.
I think historically this is a pretty bad matchup for the non-humans deck.
It's not great.
Yeah.
Not great. But he is off to a very nice start here with Champion of the Parish to get the ball rolling. It's Chi-Hoi. Both players have kept 7 cards. Just a hollow found here for Chi-Hoi. As you do see, Ashford has just an attack for 1, so that's a little bit of a frowny face.
Yeah. No human to follow up.
Does have a Celestia Charm. Looks like he also has a Forest in his hand as well. Patrick, you're probably enthused as I believe those are beta lands. Is that true?
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay.
Could be alpha. You can't tell the corners from this distance, but
well, if anybody could, it would be you.
Yeah.
So. And just a Temple Garden passing, and you see Chi-Hoi play a Sulphur Falls and passes the turn back. Ashford's going to take a draw step, draws a Restoration Angel to go along with that Beta Forest and a Rootbound Crag. In for 1 again. Champion of the Parish looking rather unimpressive thus far.
yeah. Needs a little bit, needs some help from his friends.
There's a Temple Garden, and just passing the turn back. So this is not an ideal start here. Starting a champion on turn 1 is good. You see a couple copies of Restoration Angel in Ashford's hand as he is shuffling quickly, but not too fast for my eyes. 2 Restoration Angels, Celestia Charm, Rootbound Crag, Forest. You have to go a little bit quicker, buddy.
We see it all over here.
Yeah, we see a Thought Scour, reveal a Restoration Angel and a Geist of St. Traft. On Ashford's end step, Chi-Hoi, a little bit of velocity, and we're going to see a Geist of St. Traft. So let's see if Ashford's going to pull the trigger. All right, we're going to see Celestia Charm make a 2/2 Knight token with a little bit of Vigilance. Keep in mind that is a Knight token, not a human Knight.
Yeah.
The synergy would be a little bit too good probably with Champion of the Parish, as Ashford does take a draw step. Thought he was fast again, but it is Mayor of Averbrook if you're wondering at home. I'm accepting the challenge now of keeping up with his hand speed. So you do see a Rootbound Crag, and there is the Mayor of Averbrook. Champion of the Parish getting a little bit bigger, a little bit better, finally.
A little bit of momentum here for Ashford, but I think he might be, his start might have been a little bit too slow here. It depends obviously on the quality of Chi-Hoi's hand here, but this is the type of game that the blue-white-red flash deck is very well set up to fight.
And Boros Charm is Chi-Hoi's draw step. As they are getting the life total separated out here, it looks like they're all good to go. Chi-Hoi in his first main phase, you do see him slide a Glacial Fortress to the front. Go along with the Searing Spear in his hand. A couple other options here for him. Looks like he's going to try to do what this deck does best, which is ride the Geist of St. Traft to victory.
Yeah, well, he has the option of trying to try to control the game and use his removal to pick apart creatures, or between the Boros Charm and the Geist is actually he's within range of being able to deal a ton of damage very quickly, so he's got to kind of decide if he wants to play a slower game or a longer game here.
Boros Charm, kind of a cool card in this deck. It adds a different kind of element. It did have some reach before with Pillar of Flame and Searing Spear. Between those 2 cards, they'd play around 7 of those cards. Maybe 4 copies of Spear, 3 copies of Pillar of Flame to go on with their Snapcaster Mages. Boros Charm is going to give the deck so much more reach, which is really, really scary. So you're going to see a Knight token jump in front here of the Geist of St. Traft. And Chihoy is going to rock a Boros charm.
Double strike the Geist.
Yeah. And there's your Glacial Fortress and just passing the turn back. Let's see what Ashford can come up with here. He does draw a Garrick Relentless for the turn. Not the best draw, but not the worst draw.
Yeah, I mean, he would ideally like something that could let him play a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah. Got this glut of 4-mana spells in his hand now. So in come the champion of the parish and the Mayor of Averbrook. And Searing Spear is going to take care of that guy, at least attempt to. Is it worth saving with Restoration Angel is the question, and I believe the answer is yes.
Yep.
So Restoration Angel is going to flicker. Ooh.
Flicker the Mayor book, which gives another comes into play trigger on the champion.
Now that is nice.
Yep.
Moves the champion up to a 4/4 instead of a 3/3. Maybe an interaction that Chihoy missed there, because I certainly did.
Yeah, I mean, if he was going to Searing Spear, you certainly don't do it once you're inside of combat.
Absolutely not, yeah. You're going to see Restoration Angel jump in front of the Geist of St. Traff. 4 from the Angel token. We'll see if he has a Supreme Verdict. Just another Geist. There's a Sacred Foundry and passes the turn back. So a really nice play there by Ashford. You see Silverblade Paladin in the draw here for Ashford. Only thing that right now that Chihoy can represent is just an unsummon.
Yep.
So if you're Ashford, you just have to think about that card and play accordingly. Silverblade Paladin here. Can't open himself up to a little bit of trouble, but he's going to partner up here with the champion of the parish most likely. He at least is going to get the trigger from the champion. We'll see where he wants to do the pairing.
It seems like you want to pair a Restoration Angel because he has to chump block the champion regardless.
Okay. You're going to see Mayor of Averbrook come across here. I think maybe, not quite sure if he paired at all. You do see some damage happening here. And just passing the turn back. Chihoy's going to take a draw step. He's not going to find what he needs, and he is going to concede the game. So Ashford Smith up a game here with his 9 Humans deck. You know, got off to a decent start with the turn 1 champion, but took a little while for it to become relevant. And then when Chihoy finally put the shields down with Geist of St. Traff, that's when you saw Ashford strike with the Selesnya Charm, making a knight. And you saw, you know, Mayor of Averbrook come to the table, and they championed a real threat finally. So when the shields were down, that's when things went well for Ashford.
Yeah, and that Searing Spear sequence there tripped up Chihoy quite a bit as well. If he had done it on his turn, he still might be just unable to win the race in time, and the Restoration Angel, since he had nothing to fight the Restoration Angels, with his Geist, we're probably going to kind of get shut off anyway, but definitely was kind of the worst case scenario there.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you have Chihoy's deck list in front of you. Down a game here, and what is probably a pretty good matchup for him. What can he move in to help a little bit?
He has another Pillar of Flame. He can go up to 4. And he has a full play set of Izzet Statecasters, which are awesome.
Quite good here.
Awesome against Green White Humans. And Naya Humans. So many mana creatures, little creatures in general. If you get a second Izzet Staticaster, or you can, you know, set up the Restoration Angel, shoot something Restoration Angel out, shoot again, to pick apart the 2 toughness guys. Just a really, really awesome sideboard card against, you know, the Naya Humans deck.
Okay. As far as Ashford Smith, he is up a game, of course, with his Naya Humans deck. A card Nevermore that you have 2 copies of here in his sideboard. A card that you saw Ben Weinberg play to great success. You saw Sam Black and Jackie Lee play that card in the initial builds of Green White Humans. It was there to name Supreme Verdict. The removal in this particular blue-white red deck is a little bit more diverse. Excuse me, Aurelius Fury, Searing Spear, Pillar of Flame, that sort of thing. When you're playing against blue-white red, those are things you have to be cognizant of. So naming something with Nevermore here is very, very difficult.
Yeah, especially if he's bringing in here to name In the Dark Supreme Verdict, and there's no Supreme Verdict.
Yep.
And if he's bringing in to name Sphinx's Revelation, there's no Sphinx's Revelation.
Yep.
So the 2 cards you would typically associate with blue-white-red Flash, the 2 cards you'd be most inclined to name in almost the overwhelming majority of board states. You either care about Supreme Verdict because you're close to winning the game, or you care about Sphinx's Revelation because you are not close to winning the game, like time-wise.
Yep.
And neither of those cards are here. Yep. Instead, you're seeing some spot removal. The sweepers are Aurelius Fury and Mizium Mortars. You know, Nevermore would be a card I would definitely not want to be playing week 1.
Yeah, it's just too hard to know what to do. Where Jackie Lee and Sam Black took full advantage of knowing exactly what their opponents were trying to accomplish, you know, in the sideboarded games. I don't feel that Ashford has that ability to know. One thing that is nice for him, however, is there is one frontline medic in his main deck, an additional one in the sideboard. X-Spells are something that you do typically find in these blue-white-red decks. Again, you normally find Sphinx of Revelation. You're not going to find it here, but Aurelius Fury is one that you will find, and this does a fantastic job of taking care of that problem.
So do you think Aurelius Fury, not that it's a direct parallel between that and Revelation, but do you think that as far as your big finisher, the way that you win the game kind of on a stabilized board, that Fury can replace Revelation?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think the card drawing is just far too important. I mean, Aurelius Fury does provide a unique effect, and it is a very large, splashy card, but I don't think that it can replace. It can only go side by side with it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I remember, Jerry Thompson was speaking, this is why I like to play a Supreme Verdict main, because you can draw all the cards that you want, but if you can't beat the board, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I could see one Aurelius Fury being awesome alongside 3 or 4 copies of Sphinx's Revelation.
Likewise.
Because it's a great singleton to have. You don't want to draw a bunch of them, but if you're revelating, it's a great way to shore up any loose ends the game might have.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of random power. But I certainly wouldn't want to be, if the theory is you only want so many X spells or you only want so many expensive spells, I definitely wouldn't be cutting Revelations for Furies.
Yeah.
I would try to incorporate one somewhere alongside however many Sphinx's Revelations I would want to be playing anyway.
The only other thing to take a look at very briefly before these players do start, Ashford taking a mulligan to 6 here. 3 Rootborn Defenses, a card that could end up being a trap again because there are no Supreme Verdicts here. It is good against Aurelius Fury, but we have the privilege of having complete information where Ashford does not.
Right.
And the only other card here that I do see that is interesting is 3 copies of Sigarda, Host of Herons. If it does get into play, it is going to be very difficult for Chihoi to win, but it does cost 5 mana. Ashford can push it through with Cavern of Souls. He also does have a little bit of mana acceleration in Avacyn's Pilgrim, but overall, I would expect to see a couple copies of this. I'm not sure how good it's going to be in this game because he is on the draw. He is also taking a mulligan right now, of course. But maybe game 3 when he's on the plane, he can play it ahead of schedule. It'll be at its best.
Well, I mean, we saw, in Ben Weinberg's match at the Invitational against Todd Anderson, Sigarda was incredible in those games. So, especially since the removal that Chihoi has is actually, his sweeper is Mizium Mortars.
Yeah.
So, it's even better than it normally is
Sure.
because there's no Supreme Verdict. There's only damage-based removal.
We'll see. Ashford going to lay out 6 cards, see if he can be a little bit happier with that. 4, 5, and 6. Is the discount double check good to go? It is. Underway we are. Steam Vents for Chihoi. Beta Plains for Ashford. Knows how to get into Patrick Sullivan's heart.
But no trademark champion of the parish. Although it wouldn't surprise me in these sideboard games if you're just supposed to de-emphasize how the beatdowns of your deck, because you're going to be playing in so much removal. And there's a Staticaster off the top, but
we don't see a third land.
No third land.
No third land. No white mana. Can't cycle Azorius Charm because he doesn't have the white mana. So Thalia proving to be pretty good right now.
Can't cast his Searing Spears.
Yep. Can't really do much of anything. This is something Ashford needs to take advantage of, and he's going to with Mare of Averbrook coming in for 3.
And now there's a ton of pressure to find that land now because otherwise the mayor's going to flip.
Yep. And Chihoi did.
Never mind.
So Hallowed Fountain right off of the top as you see him just draw it and put it right into play. Does have to take 2, which could end up mattering. But you see, is his Staticaster coming in right now? That's got to go.
Shoots the mayor and
now things have changed.
Yeah, that was a very dramatic shift.
Yeah. Silverblade Paladin, let's partner up. Facebook status changed. In for 4. Thalia doing what it can. You see a second Staticaster. You see a Glacial Fortress off the top. Chihoi is back in it now.
I would say he's way past back in it.
Back-to-back lands, fairly good. Chihoi taking a look at a hand of at least one Azorius Charm, a couple Searing Spears, another is a Staticaster, and what looks to be a Geist of St. Trav. Now he just needs Patrick to just plan out how he wants this game to go.
I would just be playing a Staticaster game. You can win however you want to win once the board's stabilized. Just avoid getting randomly punked out of the game.
He's going to take care of the Thalia. Is he willing to pass the turn back? You see a Searing Spear. All right, so he's going to take care of that right now. Reason for that, of course, is with Restoration Angel and Slicing a Charm in Ashford's deck, you don't want any shenanigans to take place. Just clear it up right away.
I think that I would have just played my second Staticaster and just shot down the Silverblade Paladin. Because, you know, you can afford to take that hit. It allows you to develop your mana more efficiently. It allows you to keep your Searing Spears in hand, which in concert with your static casters can pick apart any stray large threats that Ashford's able to generate, but that didn't feel like a great use of a Searing Spear there.
And you do see the second instant static caster take care of the Hunt Master of the Fell. Sacred Foundry comes into play tapped. Chihoy with just that Steam Vents available. Wolf Token gonna come across. Gonna knock Chihoy down to 9.
He's got Unsummon in hand.
We're gonna see an Unsummon. And he says, all right, I'll go down to 9, I don't mind. Now here's another Hunt Master of the Fells.
So the static casters are gonna be able to gun down both the wolves.
Yep. And you see Chihoy draw a Snapcaster Mage. That's a big draw there as well.
Yeah.
Starting to really take control of the game. The gears are tightening. See a Snapcaster Mage, you see a Searing Spear, that's got to go.
And I would not get fancy here. I would just gun down
I'd
those.
get rid of those right away. I'd be surprised if a player of Chihoy's level doesn't know that it's going to take care of both the Wolf Tokens.
Right.
And he does know, okay. And so now he's sitting there with the Unsummon up, and he does just pass the turn back. Board's clear. No reason to let, you know, Ashford draw land to activate Gavney Township. Nothing like that. And Ashford does just draw and pass the turn back. Does have a Restoration Angel, but Chihoy is sitting pretty with that Unsummon in his hand. He also has an Azorius Charm as well. He's going to come across here. Ashford says, all right, I'll take it. Yeah, go down to 21.
Yep.
Or excuse me, 22. Can afford to take the hit. And now you're going to see Geitsensane Trap, and that's going to turn up the heat. Restoration Angel's here. Chihoy doesn't seem to mind all that much. In comes the Angel.
Assume that, yeah, that's going to eat an Azorius Charm.
Yep. And you can't Restoration Angel. That is illegal. As you see, Patrick, 2 copies of Cigar to host a Herons in Ashford's hand. And the inability to cast them. You see him play Absence Pilgrim and the Mirror of Averbrook, and those were the static casters before.
Okay.
They're not gun shy. You see a Thunderbolt Hellkite, and we have a concession in very quickly.
Yes. Is it static caster does what it does in this matchup?
Yes, it does. And Chihoy Yim does win game 2 after drawing a Hallowed Fountain at the perfect time.
No, the third turn would have been the perfect time.
Well, he needed
that was close enough. That was good enough.
He needed it on turn 4, and he found it.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough.
So taking a look here, Ashford, again, is going to be on the play for Game 3, which is very important for his deck. He needs to get out in front of those static casters the best that he can. Again, frontline medic, probably going to come in. Those 3 copies of Sigarda, I think, after that game, seeing 2 in his hand at the end of the game, those are there.
Yeah.
And he has an additional copy of Huntmaster Fells in his sideboard. I can imagine that coming in as well. Would be a little surprised if he had Garrett Relentless in his deck after sideboard. He's probably just going to go the all-creature route, try to give the beatdowns as best he can. You know, maybe he falls into the trap of boarding in Rootborn defenses. Maybe he doesn't. I think after what he saw this game, and you see him going to a sideboard right now, kind of mixing and matching, if he did have Rootborn defenses in his deck, he's probably moving them out now.
Yeah, and there's certainly way more of an argument to have Nevermore now that you're on the play and you have better information about what Chihoy is up to.
Yeah.
Because you actually get Nevermore out, even without a Mana Accelerant, you can get it out before Static Caster is a thing.
Yep.
And, I mean, Ashford lost that game pretty much exclusively to Is a Static Caster.
Yeah.
So, I would not be surprised if now that he knows what he's trying to fight against, if he went and moved those Nevermores in the deck.
Pretty important here for Ashford, him to get off to a very fast start as he did game 1. You know, his deck is capable of some very explosive draws with Avacyn's Pilgrim or Champion of the Parish into Mare of Averbrook. Chihoy's deck, of course, is very good. It's very good at defending itself. Has plenty of pinpoint removal to be able to defend itself, and some mass removal in Aurelia's Fury and Mizium Mortars. But, you know, again, he can craft such a situation that Ashford can that those dual lands, those Sacred Foundries, those Steam Vents have to come into play untapped, deal himself 2 damage. You know, this isn't a deck that has a ton of reach, but he can cause the opponent, by putting so much pressure on them, to have to deal damage to himself that he does not want to deal.
Yeah, no, it is very, very important for Ashford to get off to the front foot. And yeah, because the reaction elements that Chihoy has are all cheap spells, he's way more inclined to have to play his dual lands untapped than to say a deck like Esper that can sort of go dual land, go, and then Supreme Verdict on 4.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, since Chio has to cast Pillars and Searing Spears and Azorius Charms and Unsummons, all that kind of stuff, he's way more inclined to have to play his duels untapped than a lot of other 3-color control-ish style decks.
And one more card to keep in mind is you do see both players shuffling up for game 3 here. Thalia Guardian of Threeman, a card that is okay on the draw, but great on the play.
Yeah. Again, Staticaster can throw a wrench in that, but it definitely has its moments. I actually don't know overall if I even think it's that good against blue-white-red Flash because, you know, certainly if they have Augur Bolas in their deck, there's a lot of things that make it bad.
Yeah.
But it does have moments of being insane.
Yep. So we'll see how it breaks down here as we do see both players lay out their 7 cards. Both players looking to keep a good 7, put on a nice little show for us here. Ashford, are we happy? Looks like a keeper, and Chihoi's going to go down to 6. So if you're Ashford right now, a bit of a mental fist pump.
Yeah, but you know, Chihoi can easily make up the card advantage with is a Staticaster. I mean, that thing is. That game, how many cards was it worth? 5?
Yeah, well, I lost count. There were so many. Staticaster is the big MVP in this matchup for sure. Snapcaster Mage also playing, you know, a huge role as well. Getting a lot of value with that card.
And you know, like we were talking about with the dual lands before, Chihoi mulliganing compounds that even further.
Yep.
His draw is way less likely to have the flexibility in terms of the lands he can play or the timing with them, etc. And so, it not only is being down a card bad, but it implies that extra points are more likely too.
Yeah. You know, on a 7-card hand, maybe Chihoi would have a choice on which lands he can play.
Yeah.
The more you mulligan, the less choice that you have.
Kellen Neal, your draft opponent is waiting for you.
So let's see what Chihoi can do on a mulligan here.
Yeah, I suspect he's in quite a bit of trouble in this matchup, particularly because he doesn't really have an answer to Sigarda.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah.
If we ever get to that territory, Sigarda being in play, well, so the best he can do is trade with a Thundermaw Hellkite, maybe.
Try to burn him out. I mean, we're talking some slim routes to victory.
Yeah. It is going to be tough. He's going to have to try to find a way. It's Chihoi. Yeah. I've seen that look before. I've made that look before.
I think he's good.
He's going to keep. We're going to see Avacyn's Pilgrim. All right, so 1 drop is here. You see Hollow Fountain. You see a Clifftop Retreat. You see Hollow Fountain coming to play tap.
Standard Winnabox number 3.
Cavern Souls, Ashford's Draw Step. You see Gavany Township. You see Sigarda. You see Silverblade Paladin over there as well.
Yeah, pretty awesome hand.
Yep. He can get the ball rolling. You see him contemplating what land he wants to play this turn, very simply because, you know, he wants to name Angel with that Cavern Souls to make sure that Sigarda is going to resolve because he knows how good it is in this matchup. So he's going to take 2 from the Sacred Foundry, and then he's going to cast the Silverblade Paladin. And we'll get confirmation on if there's a Soulbound or not there.
And do we have any Staticasters?
I see no Staticasters there thus far. I see Searing Spear. I see an Azorius Charm. I believe I see a Geist of St. Traft as well. And passing of the turn.
I'm a little surprised by the presence of Geist of St. Traft in Chihoi's deck after sideboarding. It seems about the worst matchup that you could really have it in.
Especially on the draw.
Yeah. It's like, if there's anything that Ashford's deck can do, it's crank out a bunch of stupid interchangeable blockers. Just trade.
Yep. You're going to see an Azorius Charm here. It's going to put the Silverblade Paladin back on top. It was bonded with the Avacyn's Pilgrim, so he's going to only take 1 because the bond is broken. And land was already played for the turn in the Gavany Township. So a pretty darn good
There's Geist.
Azorius Charm, but you're going to see Geist of St. Traft here. And there's your land. That's going to name Angel. And hallelujah.
Yeah, I would.
Would you cast that one?
I would. Yes.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah. I would cast the Sigarda Host of Herons. The 5/5.
Because he had tapped out blue-white-red flash opponent.
Yeah.
Probably a good spot to land that one.
Say beat this if you can.
I have some news.
Are you gonna say you don't think you can?
It's not defeatable.
With Silverblade Paladin looming as well.
Gavney Township.
Yeah. And guys, the same draft. I bet you want to attack. It's going to be hard to do though. This is a card, Sigarda, that you guys do see on the screen. It's a card that has not seen a lot of play, for various reasons. But this is a card that is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
As you can see right now in this situation, if people are skimping on wrath effects and doing the damage-based removal, as you're seeing here, or they just don't draw the wrath effects. This is a card that wins just about every fight that it's in.
Yeah, the thing is, there's a lot of matches where this thing is just a 5/5 flyer for 5 because your opponent's not planning on targeting it with removal anyway because they're either playing sweepers or they're mono red and at that stage of the game they're trying to burn you out, whatever. But in the matchup where the text box is actually online and meaningful, it's about the best thing you can be doing.
As you see a Thought Scour here from Chihoi, going to reveal it is a Static Caster and a Sacred Foundry. Chihoi can't attack, obviously, with the Geist Trap, so he just plays a Clifftop Retreat and passes the turn back. The card he drew off the Thought Scour was a Restoration Angel, but again, that's a card that's going to have little to no effect right now.
Yeah. Gives him a chump blocker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives him the option to kind of race. Now, if you are Ashford, you're in a good spot right now, but you don't want to get overconfident.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm at Ashford spot, I'm actually more inclined to try to figure out a way to just use Gavney Township than anything else, because you still don't know if there's Supreme Verdict in your opponent's deck or not. It still has to be on your radar, so I would be loath to just deploy a bunch of random Silverblade Paladins here, because he doesn't actually have a lot. He doesn't actually have a lot left over in the event that Chihoi has a sweeper. Yep. We know he doesn't, but unless Ashford also has the same information, I would be inclined to. I would just be way more inclined, as you see Searing Spear take out the Silverblade Paladin, just try to use the Township, because in the event that Supreme Verdict does come up, then you have the Silverblade Paladins left over.
So now what you end up seeing here is, he does play the Silverblade Paladin, the attempt to pair with the Sigarda, and he has to use the Avacyn's Pilgrim to do that for a second white mana. Now the Avacyn's Pilgrim isn't back to block. Not saying that it would like to jump in front of the Geist of St. Trap, but now it's no longer an option at all.
Well, if you had Gavney Township, then it would be a 2/2, and that would be another thing that Chihoi would have to work around.
Yeah, and now you see Sigarda come across for just 5 instead of 10, 14 life, Ashford at 18. Now the race is on. This is where the blue-white-red Geist deck kind of gets an advantage. Kind of his cards get turned back on.
Yeah.
Now we might see something like an Azorius Charm in lifelink mode be a big deal.
Right.
There's some aspects of this game that, yes, a Sigarda has resolved, and Patrick, you were wondering why Geist of St. Trap is still in his deck. Hey, you got to steal a win somehow, especially when you're on the draw.
It's good in this spot.
Yeah.
But I do believe Ashford has allowed himself to get a little bit exposed to this scenario.
So here comes Geist of St. Trap. Angel Trigger is going to resolve. In for 6, says Chihoi, knocking Ashford down to 12. Ashford now on a 2-turn clock if things go appropriately for Chihoi. Chihoi looking at a Searing Spear and a Azorius Charm and does just pass the turn back. Again, this is where Blue-White-Red has some of its strengths. Mana up.
Yep.
What do I have? What are you going to play around?
And again, if I'm in Ashford's spot, it's like just hold down the fort for a little while and use your Gavney Township. Don't try to race here because you have a ton of inevitability in the spot with the Gavney Township on its own plus Sigarda induces a Supreme Verdict if he has it, and if he doesn't have it, you eventually win the game.
Yep.
So don't ignore the cards in your hand. If you have a 1-mana creature to play so you can do that and Township, that's fine. But
Sure.
Don't add to the board with any of your quality threats.
So now you do see Sigarda come across here again. Chihoi going to go down to 9 now. So you don't see Ashford try to make the Silverblade Paladin play again because there's just too much that can go wrong.
Yeah.
Sacred Foundry. Going to be tapped here for a Champion of the Parish. And your line of play that you came up with is one that Ashford looks like he's come up with as well.
I suppose that he didn't pre-combat that because he wouldn't be able to leave his Pilgrim up to block, so he wants to have 2 blockers.
Yep.
That makes sense.
So now you see Chihoi draw a Snapcaster Mage after playing Restoration Angel on Ashford's end step. And now this is where we might see Patrick the secret mode on Azorius Charm. With the Angel token coming across in addition to the Restoration Angel and the Geist-Sustained Tractor, looking at attack for 9 damage, going up to 18 life if he chooses to use lifelink mode. And that's probably what's running through Chihoi's mind right now of, you know, how do I want to go about racing this Sigarda, because that I can't get it off the board.
Right.
And Snapcaster Mage, of course, adds in more things to the equation here. But you are going to see an attack here from Chihoi. Champion of the Parish going to jump in front of the Geist-Sustained Tractor.
I think I would have offered up a double block there, actually.
Sure.
And still townshipped.
Chihoi says, I pass priority. So you'll see a township activation. Azorius Charm moved to the front. All right.
And that's the reason that I would have done. I would have just double blocked and then pumped. Sure. Because you would have still gotten Geist-Sustained Tractor off the board in this world.
So now you see Azorius Charm put back the champion of the parish, denying Ashford a draw step. Going to end up getting in here for 3, 4, 5, putting Ashford down to 5. And we know, Patrick, that Chihoi has a Searing Spear and a Snapcaster Mage in his hand, so facing down lethal Ashford is, even though he probably doesn't know that.
Right, and I think Ashford set up this game. He has he still has Silverblade Paladin in his hand. I think he tried to set up this game where he can go Silverblade on my Sigarda to kill you.
Yep.
But Searing Spear breaks that up, and then the Crackback's lethal.
Yep.
And he doesn't have enough in play. His attack's not lethal in the absence of that Silverblade Paladin. So I think Chihoi's actually going to steal this game.
I think he is too. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So that...
Oh, he's missing double white.
He's missing double white, yeah, and he knows that he's going to be drawing a champion of the parish, so unless you say
yeah. That's a really sharp play by Chihoi there.
You know, it's a sharp play if he's sure that he's missing the second white mana.
Ashford, because he has Gavany Township in play, is so jammed on mana that there's no way he's sandbagging lands. He would have been playing his lands because his mana matters too much.
Sure. And because Chihoi does know his draw step, as well as going to be the champion of the parish. Ashford reaching for that Sacred Foundry, considering casting that champion of the parish again. Can't play the Silverblade Paladin to go for the win because there is not double white mana here. The Cavern of Souls is naming Angel. That's what got the Sigarda through. You see that? A third Gavany Township. Chihoi draws a card. Plays a Sulphur Falls. Moving a lot faster now than he was before. And with good reason. You see jump in front. Restoration Angel's going to get through. Going to go down to 2. Snapcaster Mage is going to reveal.
That was super impressive. That third game by Chihoi. That was really well navigated. I mean, obviously there were for a bunch of turns there, I was critical about the line that Ashford was taking in the game.
Sure.
But Chihoi still had to play exceptionally well to win that.
I agree.
That was, I would say that was by some margin our best played game of the day so far.
I would say so, yeah. I feel a pretty decent margin, honestly. Just using his resources there when he's in trouble the entire game and not overreacting to the fact that a Sigarda resolved. You know, Sigarda is, again, huge in this matchup, and he just, took the time to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to actually beat this card that there's no way I can get off the table.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, Ashford was in a spot once that Sigarda's in play where when you have Sigarda plus Township, you actually have inevitability. The only way that you can lose the game is if the game goes short, because going long, he has no way to get out. His only way to get out is a theoretical Supreme Verdict, and in that case, you